Welcome, cadets. Today marks the final session in our series of 3 lectures on newly discovered species within the galactic community. These species, though not yet represented in the Galactic Senate, are ones you will likely encounter in your careers. Today's lesson focuses on a species that calls itself humans, originating from an ordinary planet orbiting a single yellow star on the fringe of the galaxy. The next 3 hours will introduce you to their world and the technicalities required for their survival. We will cover comprehensive data on them as a collective. After 2 hours and 45 minutes of exploring the essential background information, we will examine various examples of humans. Note that they are of average size compared to other Senate species. Unlike most primate-like species in the Senate, humans possess 2 upper limbs for manipulation and 2 lower limbs for locomotion. While some humans can use their feet to pick up objects, this is not a universal trait and is often seen as a mere party trick. We are still deciphering what they mean by this idiom. Interestingly, humans find it perfectly normal to have limbs specialized for distinct functions rather than fully adaptable ones. They have no tails, yet manage to balance efficiently without one. They also lack claws. Instead, they have flat, dull nails at the end of their fingers. Their vision is inferior to many Senate species, and their hearing is limited, unable to perceive high frequencies. For instance, they cannot hear the sounds made by the Fing Mecham without a translator unit. Thus, if they appear to ignore you, it might be because they can't hear you. Physically, they are not particularly strong or durable for their size. Their average intelligence is only slightly above the Senate medium, making them unremarkable in that aspect. Overall, humans seem to be a non-threatening prospective member of the Senate, average in many ways. However, there is one critical observation you must remember. It is a universal truth that bright colors in nature usually signal danger or an invitation to be consumed. Humans originating from Earth display a unique trait. Their diet includes both toxic and non-toxic brightly colored foods. I have personally observed them consuming shellfish that turn bright red when boiled and berries marked with warning colors. They even have a culinary tradition that involves fruits from the deadly nightshade family. Highly acidic fruits are turned into refreshing drinks or consumed with meals. Many humans voluntarily ingest ethanol for recreation, sometimes lighting their drinks on fire before consumption. Additionally, they use capsaicin as a flavoring with a rating system for its intensity. Some peppers have ratings over 1 million, yet humans consume them. They also prepare a potentially deadly fish requiring skilled chefs. Cadets, I must warn you, do not consume anything from the human world. The odds are high that they use something incredibly poisonous as a flavoring agent. Even if they list the ingredients, they might consider some seasonings so innocuous they forget to mention them, leading to deadly consequences for you. Decline politely and offer them something from your world instead. For those skeptical, I urge you to review the archives on human cuisine analysis and videos of their food rituals, like hot wings and the cinnamon challenge, and their prevalent consumption of ethanol. You are dismissed. Greco remained composed, knowing the routine well. He knew they needed a confession to hold him for the crimes, but he wouldn't give it. "There's nothing you can do to make me talk," were his last words to the interrogator. "We know he did it, but we can't prove it." "We need a confession," stated the primary interrogator. "Have you tried everything?" "Yes, everything." A nearby human, new to the station, chimed in. "How long has it been since that dog ate?" "Dog?" one interrogator asked. "Yeah, he looks like a canid-evolved species, right?" "Dogs?" "Ah, yes, he has an excellent sense of smell, right?" "Yes, but how is that relevant?" "When was the last time he ate?" "He was last fed this morning." "An hour overdue now. We dare not withhold food any longer." "Why?" "I'm hungry too. If you let me eat in there, I bet I can scare him into talking." "You claim you can make him talk just by eating in front of him?" "Yep." "What's the worst that can happen?" The interrogators exchanged glances and nodded. "Go ahead." The human returned 20 minutes later with a small bag, entered the interview room, and sat down. "Key Gray, mind if I call you G? Ree? That is not my name. I would rather you didn't." "Yeah, whatever, G. See, I'm new here. I don't know anything about you, this station, or being a space cop. I'm a soldier. Every human out here is either a soldier, politician, or scientist. Believe me, I ain't got the brains to be a scientist, and no one wants politicians around. Greco chuckled at the politician remark, but then felt a quiet fear. He remembered something about humans and their food, a cautionary tale. As a soldier, I'm not good at law enforcement, but this was the post offered in the exchange program, so here I am. Greco nodded. Great. You're probably wondering why I'm here. Well, I wanted to come in. You see, you've ruffled their feathers, and I thought maybe I could connect with you. Unlikely. I know my situation. I know my rights. Yeah, they figured you'd say that. I also wanted to come because it's dinner time, and you have a nice table here. Mind if I eat? Greco's eyes widened but remained stone-faced. Go ahead. Did you bring food for me too? I've been deprived of sustenance. Sure, if you want some. What have you brought? The human pulled out a couple of cold cans to start. Cold brews. He placed one on the table, condensation beading on it. Greco's eyes widened in shock. The human used his fingers to open the can and drank it all in one go, then placed the empty can on the table. Nothing beats a cold one after a long day. Next, I have one of my favorites, wings. The human revealed a heater box filled with chicken wings. These need some flavor, the human said, opening a sealed bowl. Greco recoiled as toxic fumes wafted out, his eyes tearing up. What is this attack? Greco screamed. Oh, Gray, no attack. Just dinner, the human said, shaking the bowl. You lie. That is a weapon. Nope. Dinner. The human took a wing from the bowl and ate it. You sure you don't want one? These are just mild. I'll not let you poison me. Okay, suit yourself. The human finished his meal. Anything you want to tell me? No. Just so you know, they said I could cook your meals if you don't talk. I won't poison you, but this sauce can be sticky, it gets everywhere. Greco stood in the corner, eyes watering. I'll talk. Call the interrogator. Just don't let the human prepare my food. The primary interrogator and his assistant hurried back into the room at Greco's outburst. They exchanged a brief, confused glance with the human, who simply shrugged and smiled. I'll talk, Greco repeated, his voice firm but thin with a hint of desperation. Just don't let the human near my food. The primary interrogator nodded, a look of relief spreading across his face. All right, Greco, we'll listen to what you have to say. Let's start with the location of the stolen artifacts. Greco took a deep breath, his eyes darting nervously toward the human. They're hidden in the abandoned mines on Vega Prime. I can give you the exact coordinates. The interrogator's assistant quickly noted the information. Excellent. Now tell us about your accomplice. Who else is involved? As Greco began to divulge the details of his operation, the human quietly gathered his belongings and left the room, a satisfied grin on his face. He headed to the observation room, where the primary interrogator joined him a few minutes later. Impressive work, the primary interrogator said, extending a hand. I have to admit, I was skeptical about your method. The human shook his hand, still smiling. Sometimes it's not about the direct approach. It's about understanding your opponent's fears and exploiting them. Greco's species is known for their aversion to certain chemicals and flavors. I figured it would be an effective, non-violent way to break him. Well, it certainly worked, the interrogator replied, glancing through the window at Greco, who was still talking animatedly. You've been an invaluable addition to our team. What's your name, soldier? Corporal Davis, the human replied, and I'm happy to help. Just remember, sometimes the most unexpected methods yield the best results. The primary interrogator nodded thoughtfully. I'll keep that in mind. Thank you, Corporal Davis. As the interrogation continued, Corporal Davis left the observation room, feeling a sense of accomplishment. He headed to the mess hall for a well-deserved meal, reflecting on the strange and diverse universe he had become a part of. In the interrogation room, Greco continued to spill everything he knew, the fear of another encounter with a human's dinner pushing him to be as cooperative as possible. The primary interrogator listened intently, knowing that they had struck a significant blow against the criminal network. Hours later, with the information verified and a raid on the abandoned mines underway, the interrogators celebrated a job well done. Greco, now securely locked away, was left contemplating his own downfall and the unexpected role that human cuisine had played in it. As the galaxy continued to spin, the newly formed alliances and understandings among its varied species grew stronger, each interaction, whether diplomatic or culinary, bringing them closer together. And in the quiet corners of space, stories of the human soldier who defeated a criminal with a plate of wings would be told and retold, a testament to the power of adaptability and ingenuity in the vast, unpredictable expanse of the galaxy.